Hi guys, and welcome to part 3 in this Eurosport upgrade series I've got going on. And picking up from the last episode, part 2, we've pretty much got the model up to a standard we were happy with. The retracts were kind of mounted in, and we'd started messing around with the door and the wiring and various things, getting things ready to install. In this episode, we'll be looking at painting the parts, the gear door and the retract mount plates, and looking at those final steps to get the gear in place, put the multi-pin and connectors on, and yeah, just all round finish the project off. So yeah, let's get to it. The main gear doors have taken me quite some time to work out how I want to do it. I've kind of settled in the end of placing them roughly about there, and I've tested the movement as much as I can after multiple cycles, both with a manual kind of servo tester, and also then plugging it in and actually using the gear function in the power box Mercury, flicking the retract switch and cycling it through. But that should now pretty much, once I've got it fixed in place, open the doors and close either side, so there'll be one servo for either side, and then obviously we've got the one in the nose as well. Getting the geometry of the movement of the gear doors is really quite a struggle. To get it to open enough, so that obviously the gear doors are open enough so that the wheels can come out, and then be able to be fully closed so that it's tight and it's not just going to be flapping about or even be pulled open by the wind when it's in flight. You really want that to be kind of held down tightly when it's closed and open enough so that the wheels can come out. So I've had, like I say, quite a bit of playing around, but I'm really hoping that I finally managed to sort that. So once I've fully fixed them in place and committed with my little mounts that I made similar to the nose, I'm going to fix those in place on either side, and then we can test those. So now that all the parts are all thread locked and in place, I then place them into the actual mounts in the wing and cycled the retracts and got kind of the alignment of the wheel in place of where I wanted it to, and then did a similar sort of thing as I did with the leg, and made the markings in the actual unit itself, and then marked on the flat spot on there. And then I've kind of started to look at how we want to trace the brake wire. So kind of using tape at the moment, unless I can think of another better way. Just making sure that goes away nicely and doesn't get trapped in between the leg and the unit as that retracts down. So that will be ready to go all in place. So obviously that just sits in there, not quite like that because that will go round the back, but you get the idea. The wiring comes underneath through the wing and out the front here, which is where the connector will be. Same with the front, for the actual operation of the gear, that will go under there and out here into the connector. So here we have a retract mount plate that I made out of the epoxy glass sheet, same that I've used for the gear doors, the nose gear door, and then we're spraying it, and there it is in place. So another progress update. So we've now got one wing pretty much fully done now. So I've made this new plate to cover the retracts and secured all that in place. I've got some of this servo lead kind of protector covering for the brake wire. So I put some electrical tape on the end there and tied it all in together with cable ties around the leg, and I've tested the movement of this up and down to make sure that that moves smoothly in and out there, and obviously this is protecting it from the wire from any sharp edges or anything, although it's not particularly sharp anyway. So yeah, that's all one wing done. And the nose gear door, similar thing. So the door has been made, the hinges are all glued on and fixed in place. So I've now fixed the servo for the gear door in place, and we know that that should all now be working. So that will operate in there, and there'll be a servo arm that moves that up and down, and yeah, that's looking good. I've also made some little wood plates that will fit under here, just to provide a bit of a lip along the edge, and then a couple of small bits in the corners for there and there, just for a bit of extra help for the nose door closing, so that it can rest on those and it won't get pushed in and damaged. So yeah, they've all been sprayed. We've got the access hatch that will go in there to cover that up. The same with the other door, the other main gear, so that's up here. So we've made the cover for that as well, and I just need to basically do the same as the other door. There's a bit of covering that's come away on this when I pulled some tape away, so I'm going to look at touching that up with the same paint, just to kind of make that look a bit neater. And then that will, same sort of thing, go on there and cover the retract mounts. I was debating and having a bit of a play about with putting some actual doors on the legs themselves. So I did kind of have a bit of a play about with some 3D printed mount and cut out a leg here. But I wasn't 100% happy with it, and I couldn't really think of an easy way to secure the black kind of 3D printed part to that without it getting in way of either the wire or just looking a bit too out of place in terms of like wind flow, because if it isn't fully secured properly, the wind's just going to get up under that and rip it off anyway in flight. So I'm going to leave that for now and come back to that at a later date maybe. But yeah, happy with progress so far. The painted retract mount now in position with clear cable ties, and then swapping to black cable ties and screwing it all in place for the final bit. Here we are masking up, ready to paint the section on the wing that the tape had kind of pulled away, and just filling that in. So just touching up a little bit more paint around the wing. So I've just covered up the wing area. So as I mentioned, there was some tape that was stuck down on the paint, and when I got that off, it ripped up some of the grey paint and was showing sort of the underneath colour, which was like a real dark purple, and it was annoying me. So I've sprayed it. So yeah, just covered it in the area in newspaper and kind of painting tape that should easily come away. So yeah, there we go. And then once that's all dry, what I'm then doing is trialing out a bit of a dirtying technique. So this is the underside of the gear door as a bit of a test area. So covered it first, and then we'll wipe it back off and yeah, see how that turns out. And there we go, with it now all rubbed off, leaves a bit of a nice weathered effect. So if you compare it to the other side, obviously it's just got a little bit of where my fingerprints are, but it's quite shiny and glossy, but the underside is much more dulled down now. So yeah, I think I'm going to do the same sort of thing on all of the bits that I've painted, just to dull it down and match it up a little bit more to the existing paint. So the lip of the door has now been secured, so I've put a bit on the corner there and on the other corner, and then we're just securing along this edge as well, which will just help give a bit of support for the door opening and closing. Touching up paint to match an existing colour is a bit of a dark art, but I'm happy with the result for me. It's never going to be 100% the same as what the original painted colour was, but I'm happy with the result, certainly for kind of unnoticeable, unobvious areas on the underside anyway. So here we have the nose gear door now all fully mounted in place, and I'm just starting to set up the pull cable with the nose gear servo, so no steering, so that fits in nicely in that little hole underneath there, and we'll obviously house the servo, and then it's just held in place by a couple of wood mounts that are screwed into the front there, so it slots in that little groove there. So yeah, and then obviously on this end you've got the steering arm for the nose, and then yeah, the cable runs either side and the nose retracts in between the cable. The actual servo is all installed and hooked up now for the nose. We've got the main gear doors all hooked on. Don't know if we can see in there. Maybe, oh, there we go, if the lighting's right, but yeah, that's all installed and ready to go. One side left to do with the mounting, so I'm just pulling through the cable and putting some protective covering on there, so that's the brake wire, and we've obviously just touched up some paint as I'd mentioned before. Now that's all covered, and we've got the plate that will go on top of there once it's in place. On the other side, that's all already done, so looking good. Yeah, getting excited now, nearly there. Okay, so off camera I've just done some final bits of setup, so I've just cycled everything through and reset the gear sequencing in the power box using the settings in the Mercury, and just made sure all the door connections were opening and closing correctly, and keeping everything tight and locked when closed and open, etc. And making sure that there was no snags in the gear movements, and no wires were interacting with anything. So yeah, it's all looking good now. Everything's in place and working nicely. Pretty much the final step now is just to get the multi pin adapters in place in here. So I'm going to thread these wires through the fuzz here first, so I know how much length we need, and then we'll cut it somewhere around here, and then obviously snip the ends off the connectors and install a connector, which will essentially make all these 4 connections just one plug between the wing and the fuzz, like that, so that it will be just one straight clip in and out. And there's plenty of room in there for the plug to fit into. I did consider fixing the mount on there, but it's quite a tight space on that side, and it needs quite a long backing on the type of connection that I've used, so it wouldn't really work on there. So it'll have to be a loose fit there, and then just sit inside that hole there when the wings are in place. So we just want enough allowance for that to do that. So obviously we don't want to cut them too tight so that it's stuck there. We want them to be able to move freely and sit inside the wing there when it's plugged in. And the same on the other side. So yeah, other than that, it's then ready to do the final tests. I'm going to fill everything up and do kind of a taxi test, to test run the engine, make sure everything's all working as it should, I've gone through the power box settings as well with the gyro, because I had to readjust some of the settings for the gear door servos. It did just throw out some of the servo matching on the wings, so I've just realigned those and got them all moving nicely. And I'll demonstrate the full thing once we're fully done with the connectors and ready to go. Moving on to the Hacker Click Connect multi-pin adapters, so also known as like AMP. So I think you can see the badge there just under there, AMP. But yeah, these are nice and easy. Well, I'm hoping they're nice and easy, but it'll be my first use of them. And essentially, they're just an extension, more easy multi-version of kind of your standard crimps and plugs. So in a very similar way to how you would crimp your servo wires on to one of these to go in like a standard plug, we're doing the same sort of thing. So we're going to be cutting the wire and then crimping the end into here. So you obviously have two sides of it. The longer side goes into there, and then we have the shorter side which goes into there, and then the two join together, and that essentially slides into there to make the connection. It's a really nice strong fitting, so that simply slides in there when it's the right way and clicks in place, and it has two kind of strong locking mechanisms on either side that you have to pinch and pull out to release. So yeah, what we're going to do is look at crimping these on. So I'm going to cut the wires for all the connections on either side of the wing, and we're just going to crimp the ends in there. So on these connections, they have kind of two sections of what we'll do is zoom in there. So two kind of sections of the crimp. So you've got this first part, which is your normal part of the crimp, which you need to press down, and then this front part is actually part of the mechanism, or the bit that holds inside of the click connect. So we don't want to crimp that actually stays upright. So you can see there on the side the profile of it there. But yeah, so it's basically just these first two bits here, and then this front section stays as it is, and then that's what kind of slides into place inside there and locks into position. So it's going to be the first time trying it for me, so we're going to have a go and see what happens, and yeah, go from there. Typically when I've traced through the wires to where I want them, so I've got the controller unit here with all the parts plugged in, and we have one wire for the retracts and one wire for the brakes. So there's lots of slop on the retract wire, because that one's a bit longer anyway, but the brake wire is quite taut, I think, because it obviously has to go into the wing and then back up the leg. It takes a bit more wire up, and yeah, it's just not quite long enough. So because I want that to come forward a little bit more, and obviously you don't want to be putting strain on it, so I think what I'm going to have to do is, when I cut that wire, is add an extra little length of wire in between. So I'll probably solder an extra bit of wire on one side just to extend it a little bit before that goes into the quick connect. For the other four, or the other three, so the retracts and the two servos in the wing, that will be a simple snip at either side and joining them up. Sneak peek, one side is done, so I'm not going to show you too much, but because what I'm going to do now is walk through doing the second wing. So now I've just kind of proved that they work and that my setup all works and everything is how I planned, I can go through doing this wing together with you. So I'll try and record it as I go, or as much as I can, and yeah, let's see how that turns out. So first step, I just kind of roughly work out how much wire we need for the brake line, which is the tight part. So we need to just extend that. So I'm just kind of pulling that out the way and making sure that there's enough slack for where I need it. I've moved the controller back just to inside the fuzz here to allow for the extra slack on the brake line. Previously, where I want to put the controller, it makes this quite tight. So I've just moved that forward into the fuzz to allow some slack, so that I can kind of pull it to roughly where I want it. Make sure that there's enough slack on the brake line on the wing side, and then we'll just cut that. So yeah, we've got now a brake line in 2 parts. So obviously this is the side that's in the wing and actually connected to the brake, and then this is going to the brake plug that goes into the controller. And then what we're going to do is just get some extra kind of wire, red and black wire like this, and just kind of add a length on and solder that on there. So I'll just whiz through that bit because it's a little bit messy. It's not the ideal position because I've already kind of installed this, so I have to do the soldering here. And to be honest, my soldering I'm embarrassed of because I'm not very good at it, and I will admit that. So I don't really want to subject you to the viewing of that. So I'll skip through that part and then we'll resume back again in a second. That's the wire extended, so we've got the black and red extension on there now, soldered up. So that will go pushed inside the fuzz, just to extend the inside so that we can get that further around. And then it's just time to kind of start cutting the ends off and crimping the new ones to go into the connector. So just so I don't avoid losing track of what's what I'm going to do is just label them up, just so that it makes it easier both now for the install and in future if I ever need to maintain them and kind of get access to them. I'm going to just put labels on them to kind of say which one's the brake, which one's the retract, which one's which servo for the wing, on both sides, so that we can get them matched up. For printing the labels, I just have this handheld little Dymo handheld printer. I got this from Aldi, but I'm pretty sure they're available in most places. And it's a very handy little tool. You can open it up and switch it to lots of little different compartments. I've got white plastic in there at the minute. You can also get transparent plastic. You can also get paper versions, coloured versions, lots of different things. And basically it just threads some paper through there, you turn it on and say what you want. You can have lots of different settings for sizes and all sorts of things. I use it for printing my CAA identification number that I put on the models, and yeah, you just type in what you want and press print, and it comes out the side here. You press the lever to kind of cut it, and there you go. So we've got B for brake, so I'll print 2 of those, 1 for each side, and stick them around the wire just to help identify them. It's also a good method that I use for help identifying wing mounts when I'm not using the multi-connection. So if you kind of got multiple plugs, you could just wrap some of these around to help match them up. Now that the ends are all clipped off and we're all labelled up so we know what we're plugging into what, as I mentioned, next up is adding some kind of protective sheathing. So this is just sort of cable protection sheet. It's like you can get various different forms and sizes of it. Some of it's heat protected if you've got some that are going near the back end near your turbine, or just kind of more standard sheathing. So this is what I've gone for. It's just a basic one, and I'm just going to work out how much you need by just rolling out a bit and kind of roughly working it out. And we just want it to sit long enough in there so that it gives protection for any fin that's lying inside the fuzz, and also rubbing on any sharp surfaces like where it comes out the fuzz here, and then up to the ends of the joins, but not too close to cause any stress on it coming into the adapter. And then just to finish it off, I just add a big chunk of heat shrink. So I've got various different sizes in this bag, so a big wide bit will do the job nicely. So we can slide that on at the end and just kind of heat that up to shrink into place, and that holds the sheathing in place over the top of the cables and stops it moving about. So we'll do that on both sides, this side and that side. So obviously we need to get that on first before we put the connectors on. If you're doing your install outside of the fuzz, if you're building your model kind of from scratch, like any normal person probably is, then you can do all this sort of thing outside of the model before you get to this point. But with me, I'm kind of working with the cables and everything all in place, so that I don't have to take it all out of the model to do this part. So yeah, it makes it a little bit more awkward and kind of fiddly, but it's probably a little bit quicker, and for me being lazy, basically. So I'm going to put the video on a time lapse and just kind of run through what I'm doing, what I've just spoke about. So that's the sheathing in place with the heat shrink ready to go, so that obviously that can just slide up and be shrunk into place once we're ready, but for now just move it out of the way. So next up is kind of preparing the ends for crimping. So I have this wire strip tool, so again another little thing from Audi, which is very handy. You literally squeeze it together, so you put the ends in up here, and it sits in place on that little ridge, and then the clamp comes down and just tears the ends off nicely. So just you're only leaving a tiny little bit just to go through the end of the crimp into for the adapter, and then do one by one crimping the ends on. So for the crimping part, I use the Power Box crimp tool. So that's this one here. So this is a very useful tool that I've found for using with the crimps. So they fit really nicely into the end part here. So with the Power Box one, it goes down in stages. So as you close it, you can hear the click. So that's just enough to lock it in place to secure the clamp just in place where you want it, so that you can then prepare the wire and slot it into place, and then when you're ready, simply squeeze the rest of it down and then let go, and it pops out, ready to go. So again, I'll put it on the time lapse, and we'll go through the first kind of crimping part, and then on to the plugging it into the adapter. So you can see there, I've just pulled the end of the strips off of those 3 leads, ready to pull apart like that. And then we can do one by one with the crimping tool. So just get lined up where we want it to plug into and where we want it to sit. So I'm going to follow the same sort of thing I did on the other side, and keep it routine with the kind of the red, the black, red and signal wires all going the same way. So I kept the bottom row for the 2 servos, so 3 and 3, and then the top row for the retracts 2, brakes 2, and then leaving 2 spare along the top. So when we're ready, we just prepare the wire strip. So just making sure it's nice and kind of thin and ready to slide through the hole in the crimp. So get it lined up, and you just simply slot the pin in here into the hole. So there's 2 different size holes depending on what you want. I tried the first bigger hole first, and it worked, but it left the end of the crimp a little bit too loose for my liking. So I found for this size wire and crimp, the smaller hole worked spot on. So it's just a case of lining it up, and then you push it down 1 step, and then that leaves you in place. I've just got 1 hand, no grip on it, and it just holds it in place there really nicely, so that you can then prepare the wire, slot it in place, and then crimp down with 1 hand, which makes it nice and easy. So just checking that the wires come out the other end and that the wires through the right end, and then clamp down and release, little wiggle, and it pops out. And there you are, a nice kind of successful crimp, where it's got the cable in the end there, and the metal part is also trapped in. It's nice and secure, and it leaves the front end free to slot into the adapter, which we'll do once we've got these 3 done. So once we know which slot we want it to go into, so like I say, I'm going to follow the same I did on the other side. So I'm putting the black into slot 1, and then following red and signal. So you can do 1 at a time or all 3, however you want to do. I've been doing all 3, and they just slot in and just slide down until you hear an audible click, and it's quite an obvious little click. So I don't know whether that picked it up on there on the camera, but all 3 are in there, and you can see the pin has kind of come through the other side in the adapter, ready to slot into the other side of the port. So then we can do the opposite side on there to the matching side, or you can complete the full side and then do the second side, whichever way around, whatever you prefer. Obviously I've labelled them up so that I definitely am sure which one I'm plugging into what when I'm doing the other side. If you don't do that, it's probably best to do 1 at a time, so just to avoid obviously plugging in the wrong one, matching to the wrong one on the other side. So that's one side adapter now complete. So you can see all the pins are in place there, ready to go through to the other side. Obviously there's 2 missing on the top right there because I haven't made use of those. I only needed 10 and this is a 12 pin socket. So they've left blank just in case I ever wanted to add anything in the future. Maybe if I added some lights or something to go into the wing, then it's left me a positive and negative kind of for power to send that through. So obviously we just need to slide the sheathing up so that it covers up to where we want it, and then slide the heat shrink over the top, and then heat that in place to hold it there. And then it's just a case of the other side doing the same sort of thing but with the other end of the connector. So that's the slot that goes into the pins, and a similar sort of idea with the crimping, holding it in my tool and crimping it in place. So that's the other end. I haven't tried it, but I am told, or so the instructions say, that you can actually slide a kind of a flathead screwdriver down here into the slots and kind of pull the lever back, and it allows you to slide the pins back out. So if you ever needed to remove them for any reason, it is possible to do that. I don't know how easy it is to do that, and I'm not going to attempt it because I don't want to mess anything up because they're all in there nicely. That's both connectors all now on. So I've just finished that side, they're all in, and basically all we need to do now is just pull the heat shrink up over the ends to where we want it, just to tidy up those loose strands of the sheathing and keep it all nice and tidy there. So obviously you just have to be careful with the heat as you add in the heat shrink, not to burn the plastic or the sheathing or the wires. So it's just very light heat, just a bit at a time to get the heat shrink going, and then don't overdo it. And the same on the other side. We'll add the heat shrink on there, and yeah, it's pretty much done. So there we have it, it's all finished. So we have the nice sheathing going inside the fuzz with the heat shrink, keeping that on place, and the connectors are all in there on that side, and the same sort of thing on the wing side. And then literally one click, job done, wings connected. So that's all 2 servos, brakes and retracts all in one quick, nice, easy, clean plug that's protected, solid and easy to do. So we can tuck that away in there, job done. And for when the wing's connected, obviously there's plenty of room in the wing, so they will just connect and slot into the hole in the wing when they slide on. If you had a little bit more room, there is obviously side mount fixings on here, so you could fix them into the fuzz, or if you really wanted to, create a new hole somewhere and plug it in, so that literally you could slide the wing onto the actual fixing and have them both just fix on there really neatly. For me in this install, I'm just keeping them loose, and that's my preference for manoeuvring the wings. But yeah, that's both sides done, and the final piece of the puzzle. So all that's left now is to go over the final install. So I just need to install the radio deck there. So I've repositioned some of the bits, so I'll just tidy up some of that and install my radio tray, and then we're good to fly. Okay, so we finally got there. So we're at the finished article now. Everything's all together and ready to go. So got the radio tray installed, so with the 3D printed mounts. So we've got the ECU or the ground unit for the turbine, one receiver there, the power box Mercury display and switch. The actual Mercury is underneath there, along with the GPS. We've got the retract switch there, the retract controller with the retract battery, the fuel pump, and the UAT. Got the receiver and turbine batteries at the back, and everything is all working. So you have the movement there. We also have the canards working, so they work in sync. And if we switch the retracts, the all-important retracts that we've spent so long working on, we now can see the gears working along with the gear doors. So gear doors come down for the mains. All three should retract. And all three gear doors close. Nice. Flicking the switch again, all three come down. Gear comes out. And just the main doors close. And then we also obviously have the brakes. So there we go, brakes on, it's solid. It's been a little bit of work, a little bit of kind of messing around to get it all set up, and something I've never really done before, but I'm happy with the end result, and yeah, looking forward to getting this back in the air now and flying again. So final thing, I've just rechecked the CAG just to make sure with the changes I've made it's not changed that in any way, and thankfully it hasn't. So everything that I've repositioned and added hasn't really changed it. So it's if anything, it has moved it back a little bit, a couple of millimeters from where it was originally, but if anything, that's probably a good thing from where I was flying it before. Yeah, I'm happy with that anyway. So yeah, all that's left is to go fly it. So thanks for watching. Hope you like this little mini project. I'm going to start cleaning up now, because I like to give everything a clean down, put everything away, and almost like act as a bit of a reset to start the next little project. So yeah, see you next time. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to keep up to date on all the latest videos. And don't forget, it's free, so you have no excuse. Make sure to drop a comment in the video or drop me a message to let me know if you'd like to see anything else in my videos. And if you haven't already, follow the link tree either in my profile or usually in the description of the video. that will take you to an online portal to access any of my other social media channels. I post a lot on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it may be that you're on, I'm on it. So go on and follow it. As quite often my content varies from platform to platform. I don't often post the same stuff, so be sure to follow in them all. If you're on Facebook, be sure to check out the brand new RC Plane Guy Community Facebook group, which is a whole new space I've created primarily for you as the viewers, and to be able to interact with each other, comment, post your own photos and videos, share that experience and knowledge that's out there. I know there's so many different aspects of the hobby out there, and it's great to see everyone enjoying it and showcasing it for yourselves. So make sure you join the group and post some content, because it's great to see, and I really want to build that into a great place